And we're live. We here for a late night AustroThomism. Got some nice background music just to have a good time. Cass, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Caleb. The contrast between the opening theme and this like smooth jazz, we need a better transition, but I'm doing well. How's your evening going?
I want to draw the audience listening. I want them to go like, whoa! I want to draw them.
Make sure they're awake.
Exactly. Wake up. Late night stream. Bulgov, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So we just guess we can spread this out for anyone listening. We have the round tables we do, the book clubs, live readings, and now we have our late night comedy show that we're doing, where we just kind of we tell some news stories, have a good time. Slurp Gang is dead, and we will replace them. That's the whole.
That really was the motivation. Is there was nothing funny to listen to anymore. Unfortunately, none of us are actually funny, so this might not work. If kind of comedy show might be a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
but
this is for us. This is not for you people watching this.
You're not allowed to criticize it. This is ours.
This is our thing. We might get 2 views, and I'll be happy with that. Let me just retweet the link real quick, and we can.
Perfect. So and I've got on the personal note, Bulgov, I know you've got some free time in your hand. Are you just on like a several month bender now that you're in your summer, or what's your just living life large?
My summer I'm mostly spent I'm preparing to travel because I'm gonna go visit my what would be the term in English? What's the son of a sister? Is it nephew?
Yes.
So I'm gonna visit my nephew. I'm gonna pass for Washington, New York. And I have stuff in Canada because I left there before the lease in my apartment was through, and I still have stuff there, and I need to close my bank account and pay a telephone bill there, but I forgot to pay. And they don't let me pay it online because I left it too long. They just deleted my account. So now if I want to clear my name of all fraudulent financial stuff, I need to go there, pay it, get shit out of my apartment, and remove all my stuff from the apartment when the lease is done in August. So that's what I'm going to do in the latter half of my summer. So far, I'm just hanging out with a few Brazilian friends, trying to get through some reading and eating very unhealthily, unfortunately. I was doing so well until the end of my classes.
We got a question. Cass and Bulgov face reveal a win.
I mean,
well, if this is Mrs. Eincalf and it's not a face reveal for you, I'm the only one here doing a face reveal. One day. If I wasn't eating so unhealthily, I would consider it.
I'm pretty sure Bulgov is just Giga Chad.
Well,
maybe like a little bit, like a couple shades darker, possibly, but otherwise, like exactly.
I'm only darker if I stick to the sun for like a week. If I get regular sunlight, then I get like a good like Moroccan brown. That's what I look like. Outside of that, I look pretty like a whitish, pretty much, which is funny. Like it's basically same color as Assad.
You can blend in, buddy.
He's my go-to Middle East guy for reference at this point.
Yeah, appearance as well as like political aspirations.
My what? Yeah, sure. Let's say that. Let's go. The Lion of Syria. Yeah.
That's how it goes. I know nothing about him except what my Boombacon family members have told me. So I believe none of that's accurate. Like all I hear about Assad is he like attacked his own people. I don't believe that. I don't trust him. But I haven't known anything else about the guy.
I don't really either. I used to follow it a bit back because there was a really good, I don't know if it'd be an app or just a website that was called Syria Live Map, where during the Civil War, I think they still have it up for Ukraine and a few other things, they just link news, so it's a map, and then there's like several news stories. So there's a news stories of an attack here, an explosion here, a takeover here of a different factions. The map is colored up to the latest information where they can get, and it tells you where the news story comes from and where it's about, usually.
Pretty cool.
So that was I used to keep up to date with that when I was like 16 to 18. So that'd be like 4 to 6 years ago. I don't, so I have no clue anymore. And at the time, I was keeping up more with the Kurds than with Assad. I do know he made a comeback against ISIS. Remember when ISIS was a thing, guys? Now it's disappeared off the news forever.
It's weird how elections on the other side of the world will change that sort of thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Very weird. Very peculiar. So, I got nothing going on with me lately. I'm just reading a lot. I'm trying to read Case Against Reality by Donald Hoffman. If anybody doesn't know who that is, he's an idiot. That's pretty much all you can say about him. It's a slog, and I'm offsetting it by reading Aristotle's Revenge by Ed Feser, the metaphysical foundation for.
Feser's good, man. Yeah, that's a way great counter than Scholastic Metaphysics, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I opened up this book and it's like, by the way, if you haven't read Scholastic Metaphysics, this is considered a loose sequel, so you should go back and read that one. I'm like, I don't want to. I've tried.
Good. Scholastic Metaphysics is good though.
Can Bulgov show the Clips Notes, please?
Clip Notes.
Yeah, sure. To be fair, we can just read 50 pages of it, and you would have the whole what's the core of Scholastic Metaphysics. You're not gonna have the very discursive reasoning for why all the other positions are wrong, and you might not be able to answer all the objections. But honestly, 50 to maybe 80 pages of it, you read that. If I could maybe try and find it, you read that and you're good. You don't need to read all the other 250 or something.
I think we found the next live reading.
50 to 80 pages of Scholastic Metaphysics.
I'm Cass. I hope your voice is ready for it.
Yeah.
Lord.
I can read it. To be fair, I have already read it.
I might listen to that one.
I'll take the bullet on that one. But yeah, I recommend it. Feser's a very lucid writer, which Thomists tend to be, but sometimes their language can be unclear. Henry Veach, for example, is a great American Thomist of the 20th century. Personal friend of Rothbard's, though disagreed heavily on everything, as you can imagine. But they were good friends. Rothbard even cites him once in Ethics of Liberty, which is how I found Veach. But yeah, he can sometimes be not clear or not sufficiently. He's not going to be as in-depth on the minutiae as Feser is, especially because Feser is doing an introductory book. Veach is more concerned on, trying to put in the idea of, natural final causality as a worthy thing to take on in ethics against other ethical viewpoints, such as existential phenomenology and the analytical school. He's more concerned doing that than trying to give a detailed 500-page answer as to why final causality is real and in line with the science. So it's somewhat more loose in that, and you can get lost if you're not familiar with it. But Feser is you're not gonna get lost because he's holding your hand, but it's a long ride, so just hang in there.
I'm trying to get through his introduction to philosophy of mind on Audible, and it's amazing how well he explains things and how little I still understand about it. Philosophy of the mind gets so easy. Either it's impossible to understand, or it's really, really dumb. Those are the two things, the majority of philosophy of the mind stuff. Either your brain to that, and it's just neurons, or it's qualitative mathematical explanations. So I'm I don't.
Yeah, that was actually the thing from Contra Gentiles, which opened my eyes a bit, because I know a Brazilian philosopher, I think Alexandre Porto, who does actually subscribe to the viewpoint of qualia is matter. So this is actually, I think, an interesting argument. Let me see if I can remember it. I've only heard it from a Contra Gentile summation of it, and from a few of her sources, but it was Grant and Jeremy that made it click for me. So if I can remember correctly, the mind is made up of the same stuff that everything else is made up. So let's say the mind is made up of matter. Okay. But the mind also has qualia, which is sensations. And in some way, this, I forget the principle, but whatever is if A causes B, then B must in some sense be in A. So if the mind experiences qualia or generates qualia, then in some sense qualia must be in the mind. But everything is made of the same stuff, and matter can't generate something which is not matter, because only matter exists. Therefore, all matter must be, the mind must be qualia, because that's what it experiences, that's what it essentially is. But the mind is made up of the same stuff that everything else is, so everything else is also qualia. So for example, a cup is the experience of a cup, which is crazy.
Yeah, that just seems to get into that weird sort of panpsychism thing where you're every atom has a consciousness, but if it's a small enough consciousness that you don't really recognize it. So if you just put a bunch of them together, like adds, it seems so insane to me. Like I can't take it seriously because you start talking about the sensation that a cup experiences, and you just it sounds silly. I'm sorry, it just gets a little ridiculous.
Yeah, panpsychism. I think it's not that every atom has a conscious. I think it's that the whole set of everything that exists is conscious or has an intelligence. It's a cool science fiction concept. There's a book I want to read, which explores that concept. I think it's called The Fifth Science, because I had it recommended by 2 friends of mine. But aside from the science fiction stuff, or at least from, the interesting hypotheticals you can generate with that, if you want, it's, a nice little sandbox. I don't think it's very credible at all, really.
Yeah, the more I engage with like modern philosophy, I'm normally philosophy, it's like, Aristotle, Aquinas, that kind of stuff. The more I engage with like modern philosophy or modern science that really should be philosophy, like you can't tell me that Donald Hoffman's Case Against Reality isn't philosophical. Like that guy definitely is making philosophical claims, and every time someone wants to bring up philosophy on a podcast, because, well, I'm not a philosopher, so I don't want to engage with that. It's like, motherfucker, you're talking about solipsism, and your views lead to like epistemological skepticism, and you don't want to talk philosophy. I'm sorry, you should have been co-authored with a philosopher or something.
No, that's what people like Hoffman is like. That they're smart enough to be really stupid. Like you have to have a certain amount of education to say something as stupid as they do. Because you say he's dumb, and he's not a dumb guy. Like I'm sure his mathematical model is incredibly profound. I'm sure the coding is spot on. I'm sure he's done a great analysis of it. But then he just says things that are stupid. Like he literally says, look at this model that I made. That tells you that anything you see can't be trusted. It's like, do you not see the contradiction in it? Like,
exactly.
You're literally refuting your own point by making your point.
Chesterton has I'm reading Chesterton's biography of St. Thomas, which is great. Nice. Highly recommend it. Great but he makes the point where he's talking about Thomism of philosophy. So he's done talking about Thomas the man. He goes into a philosophy. And he's saying that Thomas is a philosopher of common sense, but through means which maybe the ordinary man might not understand. Maybe the logic is too hard to follow, but the conclusion is commonsensical as you get. And so, he says philosophers nowadays have lost the talent of common sense, and he cites an example of a professor of philosophy saying, solipsism is obviously true, but I'm surprised no one else in the academy holds this view. And Chesterton says, well, if you were really a solipsist, you would know there were no other philosophers in the world to hold this view except you.
I've heard that quote before, and it's like there's no common sense. They literally are not thinking about what they're saying, or thinking somehow like their philosophy doesn't apply to the actual world they experience. It's insane.
They say they're fundamental skeptics, and then they make a concession to at least argue. Because if you're a fundamental skeptic about everything, you can't even argue. Like, sure, that's a coherent position, but the coherency of that position is contingent on you staying quiet and shutting up.
Hey, that's actually what they did. I wouldn't be so mad. It'd be pretty awesome.
If you went off and you just shut up, like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You've said all you had to say. That was it.
That's why I told the anti-natalist. If the anti-natalists really wanted to reduce the amount of suffering in the world, they would just shut up. Like, it'd be over. Be done. Less suffering. They need to stop talking. But, remember, I debated some
the utilitarian case for killing all utilitarians. I've heard of it as well.
I debated a few anti-natalists on Twitter a while back, and
I remember.
Was this guy, and he said, another guy commented in and said, "You're wasting your time debating him. He's a Catholic. The Notorious Breedos." I'm like, that is the greatest rap name I've ever heard. Notorious Breedos.
Notorious.
I love it.
Goals.
That's pretty good.
So
we get
into antinatalism. Do we want to talk about our first news item?
Oh, of course. Good transition.
I like that. Good segue.
Working on that. So the Georgia Guidestones, which I was only passingly familiar with before this week, apparently got bombed earlier in the week, and the damage was substantial enough they went and bulldozed them later on.
Okay.
So they currently are no more.
Very quick question before we get to anything else. What happened first, the Georgia Guidestones or Abe? I have to know. I don't remember. Does anyone?
Let me get the dates.
This is actually very important because
it's all related.
We're gonna
get so conspiratorial.
If we're correct, the Georgia Guidestones are anti-natalist. Who is the most notorious natalist on the face of the earth? Who must have bombed it, and who sought revenge on that bombing? I think I know who.
Okay, let's see. So the bombing was July 6th, and then Abe died on July 8th.
Okay, yeah.
So the Guidestones were
I have a
first.
conspiracy theory here. Okay, continue. Sorry.
No. I really want to hear where this goes.
So I'll say, okay, the text on the Georgia Guidestones, in case you people, no one knows, or the audience, the inscription on it reads, and we can get to the history of the Georgia Guidestones later, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. That's what it says. Now, if you are at all familiar with Shinzo Abe, you might have seen a few of the memes that circulate on Twitter and 4chan about him politely asking, and sometimes rudely asking, Japanese people to have sex and have children and families because of Japan's notoriously declining birth rates. Some might say that even Shinzo Abe was the poster child for the natalist movement in the world through sheer memes. Now, if Shinzo was such a man, he would have viewed the Georgia Guidestones with nothing but contempt. So all I'm saying is that between July 6th and 8th, he might have traveled back from America to Japan after planting a certain bomb at a certain place. And some powerful cabal headed by a German named Klaus, I don't know, might have sought revenge for that act and hired a loon. I don't know.
So does that technically make him a martyr?
I guess it would.
That would make him a martyr, yeah.
Saint Abe.
Let's go.
Abe.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know anything about either of those events. Like I don't know. They predate most of those kind of like those events and stories predate my time being online a lot, and so I just never knew who I didn't know who Abe was until he died.
Yes, I didn't know a lot about Abe. I remember when I was reading a lot of like Mises.org and stuff. It's been several years ago, and like they were talking about like sort of bad economic policy. Like Japan would always sort of come up as like, what are they do? Like, how are they able to survive? Like just constantly printing money and like their policies seem to just be like, we're going to be Keynesians and we're going to do it as intensely as possible.
And we're going to go hard at Keynesianism. Yeah,
and I remember Abe being sort of like a factor in that. So on the economic end, I think he was as much a failure as every other world leader in the last lifetime.
I would say I am not a big fan of Abenomics, but because it's not really, it was really more of the same. I think Jesus Huerta de Soto has a good paper describing, good talk that was then published as a paper describing it. I think it's called The Japanization of the European Union, where he talks about Japan and the EU. So that's a very interesting paper. I can recommend it, but. Yeah, so not a big fan of Abenomics, but, not a big fan of almost any country's political economy at this point. But yeah, so what were we talking? Wait,
that was my passing familiarity with him. On the more sort of cultural side, like Bulgov mentioned, he was pretty based, as many of the Japanese I think are. But yeah, like I think the highest praise you can give is looking at the obituaries of the people that hate, like by the people that hated him, like I'm an ultra nationalist, and what were some of the terms that came up?
I mean, I think I'm the youngest guy here, so I really just knew Shinzo Abe as the leader of Japan. Like Angela Merkel is just like the leader of Germany.
It's like, it's still weird to me that she's not in Germany.
It was like who did I? Okay, when I first became cognizant of the world, who was the leader of Germany? Merkel. Who still is the leader of Germany? Merkel. Like that was Abe. I remember him retiring, and I was like, okay, but like you're still the leader of Japan to me, buddy. I don't care.
That's the I don't remember him retiring. Like in my mind, when I heard he died, it's like, oh my god, the prime minister of Japan's dead. It's like actually no, he's been out of office for a while. That's what shocked me more than anything.
Yeah, he's been out of office since 2020 due to health complications. But Japan is very much based itself, if I remember correctly, on the British system. So you don't vote for a politician, you vote for the party, which means that. And then the party elects who is going to be the PM. And Abe is still very much one of the most influential members of the party, certainly the face of it. So assassinating a former PM is not actually it's actually way more effective if you're assassinating, I think, the longest serving Japanese prime minister since the Second World War and the biggest influent kingmaker in the LDP, which is basically the monopoly power party of Japan. is actually way more effective in assassinating whoever's the guy in charge at shifting the power.
So what like you say there's sort of the uniparty in Japan, like are there other parties, or are they really just the
No, there are other parties, but they've been in power continuously since like their founding in I think 1955 or something like that.
Okay, so for the basically the history of Japan's parliamentary system.
Yes, post-war, let me see. Since its foundation in 1955, there have been like 5 years where it's not in power. So 1993 to 1994, and again from 2009 to 2012. That's literally the only years the LDP has not been in power. The only years. All the other time since 1955, it's the LDP. Which is called the Liberal Democratic Party, and it's a conservative party. So you can decide. They're basically, I think I was listening to a stream by two mutuals of mine, ZXK9, I think, or something like that, who is living in Japan, Intel analyst, worked for the U.S. military, very, very smart guy, and AJ Kumar, which is not his real name at all. They did a stream on this a few days ago when it happened, and the Liberal Democratic and basically the same idea that Yarvin has. Cthulhu always swims left in a certain this is explicitly so in Japan, where Cthulhu always swims to wherever the LDP is. They're just the power in Japan, but it's formally so this every time the principles of the left get upheld in United States, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans in power, whatever principles are upheld by the LDP, so it's whatever the LDP holds. So in the sense, Cthulhu is the LDP in Japan instead of just being, this Whig force, as Yarvin calls it in Europe.
So we figured out now that he was killed by antinatalists in response to the incident in Georgia. What are the alleged? Do we know anything about why they claim he was assassinated at this point?
No, but this is actually interesting because he's probably going to get to talk, because in Japan they give you a chance to just talk to the public. Even if they're going to execute you, they give you a chance to just talk to the public. So this was not so what they were talking about, these two mutuals of mine. I'll link it. I'll give you the link if you want. I've already posted in the GC. But so basically, this is not a patsy killing in the same sense that, I don't know if you remember, they use this example, which is a great example of a Epstein case judge who's, she was not in her home. The FedEx driver showed up and shot and killed her husband and shot her kid and then ran away. This guy, that would be a patsy killing, where this guy can absolutely not be discovered because he might link to other shit. And he's probably either been suicided or, is literally being fed to dogs. That guy is never showing up again. Ever. This guy was just immediately caught. So he probably has a manifesto somewhere, or it's probably some ideological bent. It might have to do with some cult. They didn't bring up this possibility, but it's possible if he's associated with something like that. It might be a guy he was 41 years old. And he was former Japanese military. Might have been disillusioned with something due to Abe. I don't know yet. All he said is that he was dissatisfied and therefore decided to kill him, which is the most Japanese way possible of saying you wanted to murder someone. I was dissatisfied. But yeah, that's all we know for now, but he'll probably get a chance to talk to the public. I should say they brought up that Japan does not have Miranda rights, so they're probably going really hard on this guy in interrogation. Maybe not beating him, but definitely psychologically. So I'll just leave that there. That's all I remember right now.
So all I know about the Japanese legal system I learned from the Phoenix Wright games. So I'm assuming that's what the trial's going to look like. Do we have an idea if his ghost is going to be testifying at some point, or?
I love the Phoenix Wright memes. I've never played any of the games, but some of those memes exist.
I've never played them. I've watched entire walkthroughs of like 2 of them. They're so good. They're so funny. I love them.
I really want to see the trial of this guy just looking exactly like that.
Oh man, someone's probably gonna animate it. It's probably what's gonna happen.
Oh, I can't wait.
I wouldn't put it. I mean, I was dissatisfied with the PM, therefore I killed him. It's pretty much a Phoenix Wright line.
I gotta see that. So I think one of the things we had was if Mars is colonized, let's talk about let's move on to
God.
Mars topic.
Dude, get into the serious discussion now. The
Yeah,
easy steps
for real.
ever. Okay.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
a bit more serious here. Elon Musk wants to colonize Mars, and if that was to happen, there would undoubtedly probably be Catholics on Mars. So what is the logistics?
Martian diocese, bishops, and priests.
So how does Mars solar system work? When do you do mass? When is Holy Day of Obligation? How do the holidays work? Is it one priest and then like space Skype to like do confessions to another priest, or the two priests at least they can confess to each other?
What are the logistics of transporting bread to Mars? Do you somehow grow your own bread there? Do you grow your own grapes to make wine, or do you transport it back? Do you bless it there? Do you bless it earlier on Earth?
There's so many questions we have to answer here. I do know that whoever becomes the first bishop of Mars will become a saint. I'm calling that now. The first bishop of Mars will become a saint, and he will become like patron saint of like space Catholicism or something. Which is, if I ever join the priesthood, that's the goal. That is the goal right there, to be stationed on Mars with Elon. Has like the Saint Caleb Brown.
Oh man, it's gonna be isn't it? Oh man, it's gonna be a Jesuit. It's not going to be a Dominican. It's not going to be a Franciscan. It's not going to be an Augustinian. It's not going to be a Benedictine. It's all on the Explorer ones. It's always the damn Jesuits.
We got to get Caleb in there.
I'm just saying.
All right, maybe, Caleb. New life goal. You're going to infiltrate the Jesuits and NASA at the same time, or SpaceX.
Father James Martin, we send him to Mars. Okay.
Just like ahead of time, he's like lying in wait for them.
Now.
We send him to Mars. He gets to become a bishop and a saint and all that good stuff, but he's no longer here to cause us problems. I'm just saying that might solve some problems here.
Well, yeah, that could. I mean, there's always. I think yesterday, or maybe even today, was a feast day of Saint Andreas Willow, the guy in the Netherlands who. He was a priest, but he was famous for being a fornicator. And when the Calvinists arrived and said, say that the presence isn't real and renounce your allegiance to the presence in the Eucharist isn't real. There's no real presence. And renounce the Pope. He said, I've always been a fornicator, but never a heretic. And he was hanged. So, maybe some hardship would make a saint out of Father James Martin. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying. I mean, we want what's best for the guy.
Maybe we can save him. We can save him.
We are very pro Father James Martin. We absolutely want what's best for him. Like all priests, we want what's best for them.
Of course.
In his case, it might just be, exile to a different planet.
Yes. that is the best.
That is like that's one step away from excommunication. It's so extreme. You don't want to excommunicate him, so you send him to another celestial body.
I love it. So big ideas, great solutions. This is what AustroThomism is all about.
Okay. So with that in mind, so digging into the meat of this. So first, I actually have a serious answer to part of this. I know for confession, you can't do it. It has to be in person. Like you can't do it over radio. You can't do it over the phone. So the priest is going to have to make calls to different, between, I guess, the orbiter and colonies. It's going to be a big to do. Either you get to have a lot of priests, just so you have one at every location.
Yeah, that's true.
So also, diocese.
So here's my idea. Okay, so one of the big questions is how often do you need to go to mass if you're on Mars, right? Because they have a different length day.
To be fair, I just looked how many hours in a Martian day. It's only 24 hours and 37 minutes.
Yeah,
so it's only a bit more.
So here's the thing. So it can be pretty closely synced, but then like every, what would it be, like 2.5 months, 3 months. I think they just have you would have like a special Martian feast of like the double Sunday kind of thing. Like you just have 2 Sundays back to back to sort of make up for it. And it would be like a Mardi Gras style thing, like like long weekend, like a Catholic long weekend, where they just do them back to back to catch up for the one they could have missed. I get different dioceses within the Martian community could have different rules about whether it's a day of obligation or not. But I think that solves it pretty handily.
We need Elon to go and not Jeff Bezos because he won't get anybody time off for this kind of thing. And you have to have someone who will give people time off to go to mass.
Yeah, we need pro-natal Elon.
We need Elon there just to keep the Martian population up.
I mean, that guy is like,
So you're gonna here's the thing. What's gonna happen is like they're gonna pick out like the first crew to like populate Mars. It's gonna be like 100 people. It's gonna be like 99 women and Elon, and we'll know what's up.
I remember there was a post on Twitter. I don't know if it was real or a joke, but it was like someone saying, my daughter got into Tesla. She was interviewed by Elon Musk himself, and she got in. And I just said, "Congratulations on becoming a grandfather."
I love that. It's so good.
And, that's just what's gonna happen if we send Elon over there with literally any female. It's just going to happen.
I think this is his long game now, though. He wants a space harem. Like he's just going to be like God Emperor of Mars. It's like it's gonna be him, all the women, and then and then his just progeny.
That sounds like a beautiful monarchy. I want to see thrive.
Was it David or Solomon who had the 700 wives?
It was Solomon.
It was Solomon. Well, we know Solomon's gonna have a competitor. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, like it'll be Elon, his 700 wives, and a priest. Just so he can.
Yeah, the priest. Yeah.
A lot of baptisms they're gonna have to take care of. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably gonna be the priest of most baptisms under his belt.
Well, she's like, I got 2 more, Father. It was just yesterday. I did 4 yesterday. How the hell?
All right, so here's the real issue, though, because like on the most of the Catholic calendar is based on Earth seasons and the moon cycle. So like Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon of spring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Mars has twice as long a year. It will have spring on different days because it will still have its solstice and its equinox, depending on how it is relative to the Earth. And it's got 2 different moons, right? I think it's 2 moons. Is it 2 moons or 1 moon?
How many moons in Mars? How many
Mars
moons in
Mars? We're all googling at the same time.
Yeah,
2. Yeah.
Phobos and Deimos. Cool names. Good names.
So here's the question: like, if you're on Mars, do you use the Martian lunar calendar? Do you use the Martian seasonal calendar? Which moon do you use? Do you use both moons? What's the period of those moons? Like do they just have to sort of get the closest Sunday to when Easter's happening on Earth, or do they have an entirely different calendar based on their own seasons and moons? We're
gonna end up with a schism, which we'll have 3 different Easters, and we're gonna have whole schism of just Mars Catholics in their own little thing.
I mean, they might be like the Byzantine Catholics, where they've kind of. They're in communion with Rome, but they kind of do their own thing in a way. And, because let's face it, the distance from Rome to Byzantium is much less than the distance from Rome to Mars. So there might be a few logistical problems that we might just say, yeah, principle of subsidiarity, you guys figure it out. I don't know. But what would they figure out? What would actually be better for, the parishioners? Would it be just the natural trying to acclimate to whatever the conditions on Mars is, or would it be better for everyone to just stick to the Earth the way their ancestors did it, as the trads would wanted, the Martian trads?
I had no clue. I'm trying to pull on all my Star Trek knowledge to figure out how Star Trek Klingons did their religion. It's like, let's just copy that. But they had an intergalactic Stardate calendar everyone used. I don't think we have that yet.
I'm just imagining the Earth trads in Mars.
The thing is, does Mars then have a schism between the 2 moons? Like, does one use the Phoebean calendar, the Damian calendar?
Well, I know that Doom Free takes place in the Martian moon of Phobos, so we can't use that because demons invade. So that's out. So we can only use one. So really, it's only between, it's only going to be a schism between Deimos and Mars itself. Because Phobos is out. It's guaranteed demon invasion territory. Doom said so.
It's also a very important place to have Catholic crusaders. Like if you're gonna have a demon, I'm pretty sure Doom is just a Catholic. It's basically the modern crusade. It's like future crusades, right? Like demons invade Mars. I'm pretty sure the Doom happens because the Pope calls a crusade to take back Mars from the demons.
98% sure that's a plot.
Yeah,
I'm 98% sure.
The Doom. I want to see a Doom mob with the Doom Marine just having the Crusader outfit on it.
I'm looking it up now.
Probably modded that in. Doom Crusade outfit. So no way it's not modded in. Oh, I mean, there's art of it, but no one's made the model. I'm so disappointed because there's some pretty good mods, some interesting mods for different outfits. I'm sad. Okay. That's unfortunate.
I see good artwork. I'm gonna see that screen real quick.
That's unfortunate. But yeah, that's true. What would be the logistics of a Martian crusade now?
So we got this one. which is the Templar cross in the white. We have the hand-drawn, just wearing the garb, I guess you would say.
The color contrast there is bothering me. Like you got the nice like green marine thing, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
I want. I think they're going to need a new color scheme. Like what's the significance behind the red and the white originally? Is that just sort of what worked, or was that like just like a Templar thing? Where's the red and white come from? Because you always see that.
Crusade outfit, red, white. I'm just googling it. I don't know.
You can tell we did a lot of prep for this episode.
Yeah, we
googled everything.
I mean, this question has only come up now. It's just cool. I don't know. I'm just gonna say it was because people liked it.
True strength is found in prayer.
I mean, it might have been because I think white was relatively cheap back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that why the Dominicans use white robes?
That makes sense.
Habits? Yeah. That's why they used because it was just like the cheap color of the time in cheap fabric, and then the Red Cross because it's a good contrast. I think that's also why I don't know if it was the Teutons or also other Templars who used the Black Cross, and that's also a good contrast to the white. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, we got it.
He's not allowed
Martian
to wield
church
weapons,
militant.
then.
Let's go.
Church militant, but you're not allowed to wield weapons if you're an ordained priest. You can support people in combat, but you can't wield weapons yourself.
We're gonna make separate rules for Mars because they have too many demons.
I actually don't know if that's in canon law. I know Aquinas argues that you can't, but I don't know if that's actually fully in canon law, which would be interesting to.
And Caleb makes a good point. Like if you're fighting literal demons, I think there probably is an exception. Like it might be sort of like cross themed, like some kind of weird anime deal. Like it's like it's a sword, but it's actually like it's a cross, but it's actually like a saber. I think if you're using it to kill demons, it's probably legit.
It probably is.
This is just more for the first bishop of Mars to take care of.
There we go. That's the kind of weapon we need.
There we go. Yes.
I had to bring up the One Piece lore.
A very unwieldy cross hilt sword. Okay. Crossguard sword. Yeah.
Anytime I can bring up One Piece lore, I'm down.
I have not watched a single episode of One Piece, and I don't intend to.
You don't have the time.
So, yeah, I want to do other. I want to actually finish a TV show before I die.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I need my goal now is just to live long enough to see how the whole space Catholic thing works out. I think that's my goal to live long enough. I want to see that happen.
I mean,
I'm so much more ambitious. Like we're getting you to Mars, Caleb. That's my new goal for you. Unless you find some other vocation. Like
I mean, as we know, I have no luck with the ladies, so I think the only option is to go become a priest. Is
it time for us to transition to our AustroThomism dating corner?
Yes, let's move on to the segue for dating corner.
So the idea here was we have two very eligible bachelors in Caleb and Bulgov.
In two different corners of the world, but yes, which might present logistical troubles.
And old hat married me with absolutely no game whatsoever to answer dating questions and give advice. But mostly, I want to hear about. I just want to get Caleb exactly what he needs, whether that's a wife or to be ordained. But I want to get the ball rolling, so I want to have an excuse to work on that.
Okay.
I will say, if I did become a priest, I would be Father Brown, and I love those Secret Chesterton novels. So I feel like I kind of have to do it now, just for the sake of the name.
I have to read them. I've never read them.
We need to cover some Chesterton on here eventually. I really enjoy Heretics.
The only thing I've read from Chesterton is the biography of St. Thomas that I'm currently reading. That's it. I've read about a man called. Is it a man called Friday? A man.
Something like that. Yeah. Like that. The man who was Friday.
Man who was Friday. Yeah, I've read that it's insane. Like, I remember the Babylon Bee the Babylon Bee guys, despite not being Catholics, are big Chesterton fans, and they've joked that, if you say you understand a Chesterton novel, you're just lying. You should actually, confess your sins. You're just lying outright, which is possible. A lot of Catholic writers of the 20th century are pretty impenetrable if you're not, at least acquainted with some philosophy. Lafferty is insane. He's amazing. It's still enjoyable, but he's his prose is psychedelic almost, but it's really good. Highly recommend Past Master, which is his most explicitly Catholic work, I should say. And Gene Wolfe is also amazing, another Catholic, and he's most writers operate on 7 layers of meaning. Most decent writers, at least. So, there's what's happening in the story, there's what's happening to the narrator, there's maybe what you're feeling about it, there's the actual moral lesson, so whether the narrator is right or wrong, stuff like that. Gene Wolfe is like on 40 layers at the same time, and you won't
Nick
realize.
Ashley in the chat.
Hello, Nick Ashley.
You mean yesterday's news? You've been replaced.
I haven't noticed this, Nick, but the whole reason we started the show was because Slub King is dead. We're replacing you guys. You already had 2 Catholics, but we have 3 Catholics. So
the quality of a show is exactly proportional to the number of Catholics on it.
Yes.
That's true.
But yeah, trying to read 20th century authors is already ridiculous. Like trying to read Jacques Maritain, trying to get through Degrees of Knowledge, and then trying to read Chesterton. It's just these 20th century people are just they were really, really smart, and you can only tell that because of how hard the books are to read. It's like the opposite problem to people who are like really smart but so smart they're stupid. It's like, no, they're so smart that you can't understand them. It's the flip side problem.
Chesterton, it was the man who was Thursday, by the way. I think we had the name wrong, but
man who was a day of the week.
They're interchangeable.
Yes,
man who was Friday, completely different work. No, like I know that one is like supposedly just like one of the hardest things to read. For the most part, Chesterton's prose and especially his other fiction, I find is really readable. Like he was most well known for the Father Brown stuff. Very like relatable, very like it was. I think he was probably his best sellers at the time. Like it was his apologetics got big. I think after his death a lot more.
I think those are like the second best-selling mystery novels. I think only Sherlock Holmes has B as like best-selling mystery novels. Last I checked.
I believe that.
Yeah, but trying to read Orthodoxy, Heretics, and what was the third one? The Everlasting Man. Yeah, I'm trying to get through those. He writes in a way where it's like you could tell him if he was talking, he'd be talking really fast. Like he writes in that kind of way. It's hard to explain, but he's very. It's like these paragraphs just keep going and going and going.
Yes,
I forget what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, he has no breaks. He very much. It's not that I think he wouldn't necessarily speak fast. It's that when you're reading, you have to read fast because you're still going. I've met one other fiction writer who does this. Others do it at times. The only other one who I've seen it do it all the time nonstop is Brian McClellan, who wrote the Powder Mages series. And like his action scenes and whenever pretty much everything from like past the beginning of the books or past the first fifth is just like breathless continuing on. There's no breaks, things don't stop, and you just keep reading really fast. Brian McClellan does this well. Chesterton does this well, even in a biography, which is rather slow, but still from the way he writes, you're like going on and on and on, just connecting thoughts really, really quickly and condensing it. And he always has some pun or some little play with words just to keep you continuing on, not allowing you to just have like a normal sentence. He does this really, really well where it's not exhausting. But yeah, certain paragraphs in a biography, in St. Thomas's biography, are like a whole page or more. They're really big.
So fantastic pivot away from the dating advice corner, but I want updates. Caleb, dating life, what's going on?
Last time I went on a date was a year and a half ago, and it was hilarious. We met at the park, and she was driving a van. We walked the park, we hung out, had a good time, and then as we're walking back to the car, we get to a van, and she looks down, looks away, looks at the van, goes, "Is there anything else you want to do?" And then looks back at me, and like basically all but nods her head at the van. And I kind of just go, "No, I gotta get to Publix. I got a sub waiting for me," and then walked away. And I'm eating a Publix sub in the parking lot, like, fuck.
Here's the thing, like in my head, like it's just like the perfect like rape van. Like it's like like the tinted windows, like a weird like mural on the side. Like it's just incredibly sketchy. She's
candy
like
inside.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, "Hey Caleb, you want some candy? I got some candy in my." You're like, "No."
No, not today, Satan.
No. Yeah,
you're like Aquinas with the girl, like just beating her back. No, back into like beat her into the van and then make a cross at the door of her own van.
Yeah, that was your Aquinas prostitute in the cell moment.
my grandparents ended up asking me about the date, and I told them the story. My grandpa all but slapped me on the head and was like, "Next time you go on a date, I'm coming with you. I'll let you know. I'll let you know, Caleb."
I'm confident every other male in Caleb's family is just a complete Chad.
Oh, dude. Everyone in my family for the past 5 generations was married by 20.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I am the most. I am the reason this bloodline will end. I take great confidence in that one. But no good dates. Let's see. Only the dates I've been on. Good and so up. Dinner with a homeless guy that night, so it was fun. My best date was with a homeless dude. I don't know if that makes me gay or not, but
were public sandwiches involved there as well, or what you guys gonna
we
eat?
went to Wawa and got subs.
Nice.
The date never showed up, and I saw a homeless guy, and so I was like, "Hey man, I came to get a sandwich. You want a sandwich?" And so we got a sandwich, and we talked about how he became homeless, and it was a good time.
That's good.
Let's see. Other day before that one, we showed up and we started talking. She brought up politics, and she told me she volunteered for the Bernie Sanders campaign, and I said, "Well, that's fine. You know, I'm an anarchist, and so, or libertarian. I think it's a libertarian at the time. Like, I'm a libertarian. I think Bernie Sanders is stupid." And she's like, "That's fine." We started arguing about saying this because things. It was going pretty well, I thought. And then she went, "What about abortion?" "Oh, I'm pro-life." And she got up and walked away.
Bullet
Well,
dodged.
that's good. Bullet dodged.
Honestly, I can't imagine a bigger red flag than a first date with someone and having her bring up politics. Like, that's never going to end well in my mind. Like, there's no girl that cares about your politics on a first date that you want to end up with.
No,
maybe I'm crazy, but I think that's you just walk away at that point. Mm-hmm. That's what we need to do. We need to get you just like sensing these things out, realizing it's a terrible idea, and then just getting up and walking away.
I think I'm just gonna put pro-life in my bio on Tinder and let that do all the work.
Yeah,
you know,
it might be too low on the nose, but it's certainly a filter. You could always just go to Catholic Match.
I am, dude. Okay, I'm on Catholic Match, and this is my favorite. Okay,
okay, you are.
This chick on Twitter, Margot Catholic. Okay, she's a Michael Nose stan. Everything Michael Nose said might as well be words from the Catechism. Okay, and we debated a lot. We debated death penalty. We debated everything. Okay, she ended up. I can't remember if I blocked her or she blocked me, but we argued about when Dave Smith's first surrogate baby surrogate mom had a miscarriage. She posted like, "I'm sad for the baby, but I'm happy it won't be raised by gay parents." And I was
Dave Rubin, not Dave Smith.
Dave Rubin, yeah. What did I say?
Dave Smith.
Oh.
Close. I was like, what's this Dave Smith story I didn't know about?
Like, yeah, I was like, whoa, wait, what?
Dave Smith, yes. Sorry, I get all the Zeus people confused. But so she posted about that. I said, "Hey, time and place, Margot. Maybe celebrating this when someone's mourning over a miscarriage isn't a good idea." We argued that. So eventually we ended up like,
surrogacy is bad, but it's still better that the child live, even if suffering.
It's pretty obvious to me. And so she blocked me, or I blocked her, or something. I can't remember. It was like a year ago. I logged on to Catholic
Michael Knowles would agree with you. I think
he would. I log on to Catholic Mats, and the first person that pops up is Margot. I'm not kidding. First, he popped up first. Her face. I'm like, oh my god, it's Margot. The person who brags about like not dating is on a Catholic dating app. It was hilarious.
Also, if everyone can go to private chat, if Caleb, you want to screen share this, there is an image of you being girded by a cord of chastity by angels after driving out a woman.
I'm saying on the screen now. Home tab. Yeah.
Just
love it. It's like the temptation of the desert, but instead of angels ministering to him, public just gave him a sub.
It's Imagine angels descend from heaven to give you a public sub.
It is the Florida Eucharist. After the floods, when you see the pub sub, you know our flag's still standing. I still have from Jay.
Daniel has said Caleb is my favorite gay podcaster.
Told James that. I think he's gonna be upset. James did a Black Boy podcast.
Caleb's up there certainly, but I'm not sure. I mean, no offense, Caleb, but you might not be my favorite gay podcaster.
I mean, best date ever been on was just a dude, so I guess that's a homeless guy. But
no, so I'm gonna give unsolicited advice here, Caleb. You need to stop talking politics with girls you're trying to date. Like, it's just this is not a good approach. Yeah, you just change the subject. Pull the chat and be like, no, we're not talking about that.
We're not talking about that. I'm just gonna do what Bulgov said in the chat one day. It's like, I love a girl who acts like a woman, parentheses, doesn't talk politics. That's like my favorite text I've ever seen. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah, it's very true, though. It is. It really is. I've met some really hot girls, and when they talk politics, whenever we were at a party or something, I'm like, okay, I will just check out now. Like we were doing fine until that, and then I just relax in my seat, and usually get.
I can imagine Bulgov doing like just cutting people like the British style, just like you're having this conversation, they bring up like politics, and you just turn around.
I just get quiet. I smile. I sometimes nod when they say something that's not disagreeable. Other than that, I just stay quiet and engage whenever topics are brought up. But I'm like, okay, I am not welcome here. No need to antagonize you. We'll leave peacefully. I'm very good at getting along with people.
I have a friend of mine whose house I go to, and one of his
I may have insulted Daniel's wife accidentally. I do apologize to Mrs. Daniel.
How can you want lots of kids? So yeah, he just outcasting me because he has more kids, and I don't like that.
It's okay when you're married and have kids. It's fine. It's okay. Don't do it on a first date. It's fine.
And we've slipped in calling him Daniel again, haven't we? I'm telling you, you're stuck with triple Daniel, friend.
Yeah.
And there's I can't imagine you fell in love with your wife because of politics and anarchy. Like maybe that's the case, but that's got to be the rarity, right? Like that you start with the kids and the homeschooling, and then figure out the politics later. Like you can talk politics with your wife, but like you don't court over politics. Like it's just a bad idea.
It's weird.
It's the same sense that this actually also applies to the church, but it might not seem that way. But you might be first attracted to the woman who becomes your wife because she's beautiful, but you eventually have to fall in love if you're going to marry, and you don't fall in love with beauty. Same with. Did I get on the bad side of Mrs. Hindcat too?
Oh no, this is perfect. Okay. This is why I married this woman. She's perfect.
I can see that.
It's weird that I can see her face, but I can't see yours. Like a profile pic is a face, and I can see that, but I can't see yours. What's this? Can
we change you? Can we get like a different profile pic for you? Can you also be Ayn Rand or do you feel like Nathaniel Brandon?
Yeah,
okay, we're gonna get her to change her profile pic to Nathaniel Brandon. It'll be great with a cross.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be really good.
I was at a friend's house, and his roommate's girlfriend lives there, and she's a bisexual, leftist, crazy person, and I don't engage.
A young woman.
Pretty much. We don't ever talk politics, but we both make snide comments about other person's views all the time. Like we were in a van going somewhere, and she brought up that she knew this kid who was like autistic, and they never treated anything about it or talked about it. The parents just kept praying for it to go away. And she said, "You can tell the entire family was autistic because they believed in religion," and then stared at me. And then later she was talking politics, and I'm like, "Yeah, I love women who don't talk. I love women who is an actual woman, doesn't discuss politics because that's clearly the man's job." And so they both just like make snide comments at each other but never actually engage in it, and it's pretty great. It's really fun.
I just get quiet because I don't like confrontation usually in person, unless we're explicitly there to argue. I like having a good time, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to ignore this. If there's other people here, I'm just gonna find a friend of mine and we're gonna discuss something. And then I'll go back to the main conversation where you're at, where it's something more agreeable, and then we'll leave and part ways.
I should do that, but I don't. If someone,
you're fine the way you are.
If I something stupid, I start artistically screeching about right or wrong. It doesn't work out well, but normally everyone is stoned, and so it just ends up getting like weird.
Yeah,
the stone autistic screeching is okay, but for the record, I don't think there's anything women love more than autistic screeching about things they don't care about. The surefire way to find a mate.
Yeah, it's the traditional human mating call, I think.
So, who was the first tank in Thomas the Tank Engine? You might be wondering. Well, let me explain.
Oh yeah, I watched that entire 2-minute video. It felt like an hour long.
Oh my god, that was such a. That guy was looking for consistency in Thomas the Tank Engine lore. He's gotta be a libertarian.
No, he didn't only look for consistency in just the. Because you might, dear viewer, be uninitiated. There is not only one series of Thomas the Tank Engine. It's originally a series of novels, and also it's got a series of movies, each with its own continuity and each with its own set of inconsistencies to keep track of. It's much like of a Star Wars series of books where there's like canon A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'm not joking.
The Thomas the Tank Engine expanded universe is the best part of the franchise.
Thomas the Tank Engine, it has an expanded universe. I was not aware of it. I just thought it was cute trains when I was a kid. I thought that's what it was about. It's about trains making things run on time, which is such a great fascist subversion. I mean this unironically. It's like, good, yes, we should make children think that the train should run on time and things should be orderly. That's how society should be. And I'm very much in favor of a Benito Mussolini sponsored program for children.
Is it the original Thomas the Tank Engine books that are like really like dark and like gritty, like industrial, like you could see it like taking place in Mussolini's Italy? Like I could totally see that being the through current now, that like it's Thomas the Tank Engine is actually about how Mussolini made the trains run on time.
What's hilarious is there was a PBS knockoff pretty much of Thomas the Tank Engine, but with planes, and it's just disturbing.
Oh god, that is the uncanny valley there.
It's a jet plane.
JJ's a jet plane.
I mean, look at that one. That has a rat nose. What is that? It's like a rat human plane hybrid.
I know this. I know JJ because I recognize the avatar because one of my favorite mutuals, JJ the Jackoff plane, has the JJ the jet plane.
Hold on. What was that? What's that? I gotta follow
JJ the Jackoff plane. And he's really great account. Really recommend you follow him. He's very much involved in the Zero HP Lovecraft side of things. Very interesting guy, very smart, very funny. And also because I remember someone talking about like, and I think it was like on a podcast or something, someone reminiscing about JJ the Jet Plane because they used to watch it with their younger sisters. It was very weird. It was like, I think I've heard of this before when I was like a kid or something on someone else's house, like out of state, not even in Rio, somewhere else. And it was like on TV. Like these surreal experiences you have as a child that you look back on and you're like, is this real? Was I dreaming? Like apparently not. Apparently there was a not even anthropomorphic, a anthro face plane. I don't even know.
Those are the reason the church is skeptical of genetic engineering. Like whatever happened to make those planes should not be a thing.
No,
there's something.
And after they're not made in the image and likeness of God.
This is why there's no Catholic Veggietales. It's just talking vegetables is inherently disordered.
I don't know. Lord Aquinas was pretty base.
Be made by a Protestant.
That was pretty fun. Apparently, that guy later said vegetables don't go to heaven. It was just like, wait, so you just confirmed all your characters are going to hell? It was such a weird answer he gave. He could have just said, yeah, they're fictional or something. No, he said, no, vegetables can't go to heaven. It implied they're all going to hell. It was just so weird.
I think that's the movie I want to see. It's like the go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering, the guy who made Veggietales, like what denomination is it? Because he's not Catholic. I remember that much.
I don't know much about his denomination. I do know he's ultra liberal and gay males and all that stuff, but I don't know I don't know much about the guy besides he helped Pixar with the animation at one point because they were doing it better, which is just it's so weird to think about. Like Pixar, like how do you do the Seek things, and they had to like go to Pixar and show them how to do the Seek animation.
That's actually pretty cool. So congrats to him, despite being an annoying ultra lib. Congratulations, Mr. Veggietales,
Mr. Tails.
Mr. Tails, congratulations.
He also apparently wanted to use candy bars originally because kids like candy bars, but his mom was like, "How?" Like she was like, I think his wife said, "Your mom was disappointed." He ended up just selling candy to children.
Yeah, fair enough.
Had to make it vegetables.
So with the Veggietales going to hell thing, like I want to see the Veggietales movie with Revelations. And, like Judgment Day comes and all the Veggietales like just sit up with the goats and like okay, because we've been condemned. We don't have souls.
Wait, let me see if I can find an image which this reminded me of. Keep talking. Are we still in dating corner? Is this?
This is still technically dating corner. Yeah, like Jacob was saying, like you need to make sure you're compatible with somebody. You have the same views on politics, on kids, on Veggietales, all these like on the state of vegetable souls.
I think I'm just gonna post a photo on my Tinder profile, like add a photo. It's just gonna be that Trump Kaczynski hat. Just put that up there and like put the hat on, take a photo with it, make that the bio profile.
So there was
enough people.
There was the app for a while where you could make like a South Park avatar of yourself. I want to see that for Veggietales, and I want Caleb your avatar to be like the Caleb Veggietale.
Yes,
with the AustroThomism hat.
I'm gonna text
And probably
Sammy and
headphones.
have him make that for me. Like, hey man, can you draw me the cucumber? I'm just gonna text him that randomly out of nowhere. Just text him, like, hey, can you draw me the cucumber?
So here's the important question, and if chat wants to try and chime in a little bit. If Caleb was a Veggietale, what vegetable would he be? Because we need to figure this out. Because cucumber doesn't seem quite right. I'm not seeing cucumber. Eggplant's a little too suggestive for a dating site. I think it's a little too on the nose.
Go too on the nose. Let's see. No, let me look it up. What Veggietale character am I? I'm gonna take this quiz on air.
So
Veggietale
on Revelations, I have sent. If you're all curious what I was doing, I've sent an image to the AustroThomism GC. If you want to take a look at it with a caption of why I brought it up, but it's on your mention of Revelations did remind me of it.
I gotta share the screen for this one, guys. Just bring that up real quick.
I laughed my head off when I first saw this.
Who wants to read it?
I can do it. Okay, so on the day of judgment, the Theotokos will hand Christ the sword that cuts out your blaspheming tongue. Joel Osteen, live your best life now. 7 steps to living at your full potential. And his smiling face, his little smarmy face.
He looks so gross. I mean, it's like Martin Short and Jerry Seinfeld had a kid.
Look, I don't want to.
That's perfect. Yeah. I can't not see that now. It's Martin Short and Jerry Seinfeld's illegitimate baby. That's crazy.
Oh my god! Take a look at Martin Short.
He's a wet baby. That's what he is.
Oh my god! It is. Oh my god!
Okay,
all the big American pastors look really slimy. I've got to say. They look real. I'm sorry to say this too, and evangelical people might.
What about this one for the vegetable?
That's certainly the Aquinas one.
Yes. Okay, we see it here. I love how this one's him as like a priest. The first photo.
He's just a priest.
Father Asparagus, yeah.
So Catholic, this is on Catholic, and I was like, Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
Oh my god, the baby carrots. These are so weird. Like, hold on, why does this one pop up?
It's got. I think you got past the actual Veggietales.
Yeah, you've done
there was a live action Veggietales movie.
This is the main protagonist of Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett.
So now imagine like Disney's like they want to do these live action remakes. They make a live action Veggietales remake.
Oh,
there we go. Always in the sink. Veggietales. Some of those songs slap. I mean, like that song about like his cheese waiting in the drive-thru line for his cheeseburger. That song slaps.
Is that what is that literally about a cheeseburger, or is that like a metaphor for Christ waiting at the altar or something?
It's literally a cheeseburger.
The Bob Dylan's repurposed song. It's
literally waiting in line for a cheeseburger because it's a cheeseburger and he loves you.
By the way, I have to say this. While it might sound really corny, especially from a Catholic, while I may bash and prots as I want to do, Bob Dylan gospel songs slap. I will defend them. They're really good.
I agree.
Shot of Love, Hardest is a follower of Jesus. Bob Dylan, Heart of Stone. Let me see. What's that song? It's just called I think it's just called Heart of Stone. I need to see it again because it's one of my favorites. I just remember the lyric. Property of Jesus, waiting, bridegroom waiting at the altar, Shot of Love. They're really, really good. Highly recommend them. Just go to Spotify, search up Bob Dylan Gospels.
Bob Dylan's great. I like Bob Dylan.
He won a Nobel Prize. He can't be bad, right?
Yeah. Everyone
who wins a Nobel Peace Prize is automatically actually pretty terrible.
Yeah, if you win a Peace Prize, you're just suspect. You're just out.
Yeah. So we have a suggestion that Caleb would be a spud. So in Veggietales, like, could you be like a French fry? Could you be hash browns, or do you have to be like a potato? Can we like, how far from the original product can you end up being and still be technically a VeggieTale? Because like I can see Caleb as a French fry, like one of the like thick cut steak fries. Can totally see Caleb being a steak fry.
What is a steak fry? I'm not familiar with these Americanisms.
So like, it's like a wedge of potato, like a fried wedge of potato. Like it's almost like.
I'm saying on screen. I'm just gonna stay on the screen for that one. They're basically this big ass
Okay, I've
fries.
seen them before. Okay, I've seen them before.
They're great.
Yeah, they're good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's Caleb.
Ooh,
there we go.
throw some cheese on them.
Caleb is the Veggietales cheese fry.
Yes. Listen, the best, like everyone talk about best topping for like best comment for a fry, like ketchup or mayonnaise or mustard or something. Like, cheese. Cheese goes best on fries. Okay, like cheese is the ultimate topping for anything.
I'm married Canadian, so I'm obligated to say it's cheese curds. You have to get cheese curd and then gravy.
Oh, yeah, by the way, this is very random, but Gene Wolfe, who I've mentioned before here, Catholic writer, but he was an engineer before that until like his 40s when he finally broke through. He's the guy who invented the machine that cooks Pringles, by the way. So just because you guys were talking
That is
about
the weirdest connection I've ever heard.
Bizarre, but that's what he did.
We found the scarlet thread that connects it all.
He was a potato engineer.
The connection between Pringles and Catholic theology has been discovered.
Yeah, Einkath might really like Gene Wolfe because even though he doesn't write like an engineer, there's a lot of stuff to appreciate it from an engineering perspective. Because he's very much writes like a Melville, but there's a lot of little things that really show an engineer's mind as to how things work.
Do we want to move on to the question and answer we got now? So we put
Sure.
The AustroThomism Twitter posted a thing to ask questions. If chat wants to throw any questions in the chat, we probably will ignore them, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. First question is from Jacob Daniel of Daniel 3 Biblical Anarchy. When am I coming on? And I said, when you get confirmed as a Catholic. So Jacob, you have your answer. When you get confirmed,
so that's basically when God wills it, is when you get confirmed.
Yes. So we'll have you on the podcast when God wills it.
He gets confirmed by Father James Martin. Father James Martin's redemption arc. Father James Martin is my favorite gay podcaster, actually, not Caleb.
I love it.
In all honesty, I'd be happy to have Jacob on at some point, but
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Father Martin on.
God, I'd like that more. If we had a choice,
I would like that more too.
I would. It would be one of those things like we couldn't release the episode because I think it would just it would be explicit. Like I would just descend into profanity very quickly.
I love how I'm at the weird space with Daniel Free, that whenever you say Jacob, I know who it is, but in my mind, I just correct it to Daniel Free.
I'm having to make a conscious effort every time. I think it was the first time I was on Caleb's show and we just kept talking about Daniel the whole time, and Dan's like, "Oh, but that's not," or Jacob. It's like, "That's not my actual name, guys."
Adam has named him the Big Nerd, and that's what we're going to call him from now on.
Perfect.
Okay. Daniel, you're the Big Nerd. Going to Adam. Okay, so we got some from Mrs. Timbit. So you could pick anyone living or dead to have for dinner and a conversation with. Who would it be? I mean, my answer is gonna be basic as all hell, but Thomas Aquinas, no doubt.
Yeah,
I couldn't see. I was thinking about Aquinas. I'm pretty sure, like he was one. I can't imagine him like letting loose and having a good time. Like the entire thing, like he'd be explaining like the theology of my meal and like how it was like how if it was properly ordered to my being or not.
Why he's constantly snacking on like potato chips or something.
Well, that's it. Like, and he would make me feel so guilty about everything I did. Like I'm clearly like there's no way I'm getting into heaven if this is my competition kind of thing. Like if there's like not competition, but like the standard is set so high, I would just feel so terrible about myself the entire time.
Yeah, I should say there's a detail in Aquinas' biography that his last confession, his last rites. The guy who came out of his room, the father of the brother of what would be the name? Oh my God, I forgot the name. The Dominican brother who gave his last confession said his confession sounded like that of a 5-year-old. So like simple, very naive and innocent it was. Which if it was a competition, we'd be screwed.
Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
100 duck-sized horses, done, easy. I would kill all of them.
Yeah, I know.
So easy.
Ducks are fast, man. Those things can just move and they can peck. And
A duck-sized horse.
I want to do with that.
It could like tear my arm off. It was really determined.
Am I barehanded? Do I get like a pocket knife or something? Like, what's the?
I'll just jump. I'll just stomp on them. I'll just fucking ground
Just
pound.
Mario Brothers style.
Like Achilles heel.
Goomba stomp the horses. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's a duck-sized thing. Ducks aren't that big, or at least the species near me that I've seen aren't that big. It's fine.
Yeah, a horse-sized duck would be vicious too. Like, I don't know, like my main experience is with like Canadian geese, who are the most ornery fuckers in the entire world.
Yes, they are.
So I'm imagining like if you made that horse size, like it would be world ending. Like it would like there would just be a trail of bodies around it. So I think a horse-sized which came first, horse is a horse-sized duck. Oh,
what came to us for success? So we got another question here. If you were on a desert island and you could bring one book.
Wait. I didn't answer. You guys, actually,
Yeah,
neither did
go ahead.
Eincap. Eincap was thinking about Aquinas, but didn't
Yeah,
get
don't
to
like-
an answer.
I'm trying to think of a more interesting answer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an answer that
Was it living or dead, or was it just dead? What was the details?
living or dead?
Living
I think.
or dead, yeah.
Yeah, and since all the saints in heaven are technically living, it's fine.
Well, no, the issue is like if they like I was worried, like I didn't want to have a living person if they weren't alled to still be alive or not.
Lazarus.
For Miss Tidbit, if we pick a dead person like Waspar was an atheist and convert him, does he not go to heaven? Like, cause that seems like a better option now. Like,
Yeah, that would be a really good call. It's like take someone like I'm gonna be way too stereotypical with myself. Like like have a dinner conversation with Rand and just like you need to rethink this whole thing. I don't think she's gonna take that, but I love the idea of like having a dinner with somebody that's dead.
Yeah.
For the sole purpose of converting them before like they get a chance to go back to heaven. Oh, who's the best person for that though? Who's like the best like non-believer in history?
Pontius Pilate or Judas. But I think Judas knows at this point.
Yeah, Judas had a
Judas knows wherever he is. He knows.
yeah. I want to say I would want to say Christopher Hitchens because I really like Christopher Hitchens.
He would still rhetorically come out on top somehow. But
yeah, he's he's oily. Dude. His article on Women on Funny was one of my favorite articles.
He said some very base things.
Anytime someone tried to bring up like, here's an example of a funny woman, he's like, if the article was wrong, you would just laugh me off because you prove it in an example. It's an example that proves the rule.
Yeah, it's the exception that proves the rule. It's like, yeah, there's like 3 of you. Yeah, of course.
Like Tina Fey. I can't name any other ones. Tina Fey.
Yeah, Tina Fey, the woman from like Fashion Police, and that's it.
Yeah, I can't think of any other funny woman.
Yeah, that's it. It's over. You're done.
Yep, we're done.
You're gonna tell me the woman? Yeah, okay. Let's get the very famous woman show. The View. Is anyone there funny? No. Done. Okay. Next.
No, but they had Norm Macdonald on there. They tried to say that they were comedians too, and it's
yeah,
like,
there was one man there, and it was really funny. See how much it improved with one guy.
To be fair, Norm Macdonald was probably the funniest person I've ever heard in my entire he is my favorite comedian
so good.
ever.
He had a bit was like I think it was like Seth Green or something. He kept like asking my questions about gay people. And Seth eventually just went, I keep asking me all this stuff about gay people, but like I'm not gay. He's like, who said you were gay? Like I'm not gay. What's wrong with being gay? Nothing wrong with being gay. I love gay people. And Norm was like,
no.
I bet you do.
Norm also like I'm a closeted homosexual.
Oh, that was so
then going, well,
Larry King
gay? No, why would you say I'm gay? But like going,
Larry King already had something too. Like he was like, I got a scoop.
Oh my god.
Explain to the audience at home what the Holocaust was. All his really terrible jokes that he made guests read on his podcast was so good. And where I think it was Adam, his co-host, who always played kind of the idiot. So good. So good. Man.
I want some answer from Thomas Aquinas and Norm Macdonald. What's his answer?
Yeah. That would be pretty fantastic.
He hated Bill Maher with a passing, which I respect.
Did he? Norm Macdonald?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He went after him quite a lot. He had a whole bit about how comedians are supposed to be funny. Some comedians want to be smart and they get claps instead of laughs.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Was that in the Larry King interview?
It was weird because he went on like Politically Incorrect or one of his like late night shows that Bill Maher had. So, like they brought up like politics and they brought up like the foreign affairs of like China or something, and Norm was just cracking jokes the entire time, and Bill was trying to be serious, and Norm just still cracking jokes, making fun of everybody on stage, but all at the same time. That was a great video.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what my answer would be. I could be really boring. You know what? I will be really boring. Mother Mary. Done. I'd have a dinner with Mother Mary.
It's a good one.
You know, if I pray the rosary, so I pray to her most often, and for intercession in any of her saint. So it's only fair I get to hear back from her, I guess.
Yeah, would you have the conversation? Would it just be the rosary, like, to her? Like, I feel like that'd be a little awkward. Like, you're sitting there having dinner, like,
that would be awkward. It wouldn't.
I don't really know how else to talk to you, so
yeah. So let's have dinner.
You doing anything? Like?
So how's it been? Children behaving.
I guess if you can't decide one, what do you like? If you had to pick top three, if you couldn't decide one, like,
so I think I'm gonna
What's
go.
it like to be a single mother in Judea?
I feel like there's probably like there. I imagine there are like red pill, like what's the term? Like pickup artist guides for like picking up like single mothers. Like you could do like the single mother in Judea. I think there's definitely like you just start trying to run a game.
I assume both. Are you both you guys familiar with Rivellino?
No, I'm not.
He's sort of a PUA guy. He's the guy who does the green lines, but he was a PUA guy.
Oh yeah.
So during I just have a dinner with Mother Mary, and the entire time I'm just reading her Rivellino tweets, seeing her reaction to them. That's all I want to do.
I looked it up. I found 40 single parent and playground pickup lines.
In Judea? Wait, what?
Oh my god, the first one is, are those pencil erasers in your shirt? Or are you just happy to see me?
Oh god. Why is this a thing? Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
I'll give it an answer because I think I would actually just enjoy a conversation with him. Plus, I get the chance to convert him. I think Hoppa would be an awesome guy to have dinner with.
Yes. Hoppa
Good
would.
one.
That's true. I didn't think of a living part. I was only focused on my dead, but yes, he very much would be. At his 5-star hotel in Turkey, but he runs. Which is he married like an heiress or something, which is hilarious to me. Hop of a gold digger. So based. Yeah.
Dan, imagine Aquinas trying to debate people on Twitter. I feel like it'd be a lot like Jeremy, but nicer. Like Jeremy would put like 4 lines and like 4 tweets to make 1 point. I feel like Aquinas would do the same thing, but also just like nicer.
Yeah, didn't you do like the it was like the Aquinas argumentation, but like in Zoomer speak?
The Zoomer theologica. Yes, I did. Those are some of my favorite tweets.
I love the idea.
I actually think the if I can find it, the E Scotus and the E Thomists are actually carrying on Aquinas' legacy of really autistic debates really well. And they're usually very very aware of it. So there's this thread where because the Scotus and the Thomists are always arguing. There's this thread where they're just making fun of each other. So for example, Biscat, probably the most famous online SCOTUS, just says, "I will do a 15-part, 36-hour series debunking your response stream." And then the Thomas response is, "I live in your walls." And that's all he says. So they're pretty good natured about it. They're pretty good natured about it.
That's amazing.
This is all over transubstantiation and who was more correct, by the way.
Aquinas.
Yeah, Aquinas.
Yeah.
Biscat is maintaining that it is SCOTUS despite the church. Not whatever. Dun SCOTUS is blessed SCOTUS. He isn't a saint or a doctor, but he is blessed SCOTUS.
I love that guy on Twitter. I do not like him on podcast. Like him trying to debate Jimmy Aiken on Young Earth stuff, and him on Panpsychism Aquinas was just like super hard to get through. But on Twitter, he's fantastic.
Him on I managed to get used to his voice pretty quickly, I find. But at first it was like, oh, okay. And then it was like fine. He has a very high-pitched voice. Is that what it was? If I remember correctly. I remember it was grating. I don't remember what it was, but he has a very high-pitched voice. Gideon Lazar is his name, but very, very smart guy. Yeah. Despite my disagreements with his Young Earth stuff.
We should get him on eventually. Not to talk Young Earth stuff, but for more like a political thing. I think he'd be pretty interesting to talk to, politic-wise.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. And
next question.
Him and Democracy are friends. I bet he's got some pretty good views.
They are.
If you were on a desert island and could bring one book, one Twitter mutual, and one entire podcast series and method to listen, what would they be?
Huh.
Really good.
Okay. What would I not? Oh. So, okay. Instead of bringing one book as the Bible, I could bring something else and have the podcast be Bible in a year. As vinyl, by the way. It'd have to be vinyl. That'd be the method to listen to. For was it Mike Schmitz on vinyl? That'd certainly be something. But yeah, what would it be? What would be the one book? I don't know. I don't want to answer the Bible because that's too. That feels too online tradcath for me.
Unless I think if it was the King James Bible, you'd be okay. If it was KJV.
Yeah, and I'm reading it, shaking my head so people know I disagree with it.
One podcast series. That's a tough one.
Be bored with. I know. I guess since I'm on a desert island, I'd finally get through Plato's complete works. That's at least an opportunity. Yeah, I guess I should embrace it.
I think I'd go Plato complete works as well, because at least there's a narrative there you can enjoy and philosophy, so you get a bit of both. So that'd be a fun one to read.
Yeah, because I don't know, a fiction book eventually ends. Like, I guess if it's like a really, like, I don't know, when Brandon Sanderson finishes the Stormlight Archives, which is like, when it finishes, it's like 10 times the size of a Lord of the Rings or something. Like, yeah, fine, yeah, I can say like 2 years reading this, it's fine. But aside from that, it's like, yeah, I guess I'll just like, philosophy is probably better because it occupies your time more. You read it more slowly.
Escapism though. Like, I like the idea of just like massive fantasy tome.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I was thinking of Stormlight Archives, but I usually read those really fast. I take way longer to read philosophy because you have to think about stuff. You can't just like follow along with the plot. You have to stop. You have to consider. You have to like really think about the argument and all the implications of it and its presuppositions. So you read it slower. But yeah, if it was like a massive, like if it was for like, I don't know, a month, then yeah, I'd bring big fantasy tome. I don't know which one it would be, but it'd be big fantasy tome.
Okay, what about so podcast wise? I guess you got to answer podcast wise, or
I'm trying to think. I would also think it would take a ton of time, but it also wouldn't like because it's like lots of episodes, deep catalog, but not just like boring to tears.
Yeah. What would it be? I actually have no clue.
I'm gonna say Continentales.
I
have enough fun. I have fun with those, and I've been listening to a lot of them already. So
I've binged them all. I've binged them in the last like 3 weeks. Like I'm capable of binging them, so I know that they're good. But I
end up like screaming at I will literally like yell at my computer half the time when I'm listening to them. Like it'll be like it's been like, oh, that's an amazing point. I never thought of it like that. And oh my god, you're so wrong. I hate this.
I was screaming when like Jeremy was talking about righty tighty, lefty loosey, and I was like, no, you don't understand. Why don't any of you why can't anyone explain to him? Why is everyone? It's so easy. It's tangents, Jeremy. It's tangents. It's not the actual circle. It's a tangent to a direction the circle is spinning, Jeremy. Please.
So that's gonna be the topic when we get them on. We're just going to discuss physics and lefty loosey, whitey tighty.
At the same time, like this is why I won the physics argument because clearly, if you don't understand lefty loosey, righty tighty, you don't understand physics. Like I can't believe it. But I get too exhausted listening to Contradictialists that I would want to just have like try and binge listen to the other thing. I would die of exhaustion like in the first like 48 hours. Like
yeah, that's true.
It'd be like I have all my coconuts and like fresh water and fish and birds or whatever, and I would drop dead from exhaustion just from CG.
I could do a Middle Earth Mixer podcast, which is just like a Middle Earth lore, and they're like an hour long each.
That'd be fun.
And he's on Twitter, and he's a funny guy on Twitter. Evan Cooney, I forget what his name. I think his name is just his podcast name nowadays. But yeah, like that would be instead of a fantasy tome. I guess I would have the philosophy, and instead of a fantasy tome, I just have the podcast of the fantasy tome because Silmarillion is too boring to read. Sorry, Tolkien. Sorry, I can't get through it at this stage in my life. When I'm older and wiser.
What's my answer? I'm gonna go the Trent Horn podcast because I really like Trent Horn. That's what Trent. I'm gonna go with a book. I'm gonna keep Plato. And I think for mutual, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go Ace. This debate him on an island forever.
That's
Debate
I mean, I guess
island.
like that's one of those things like you would stop debating and things would get better, so you wouldn't mind the desert island as much.
Yes.
Well, that sounds hellish. Why would you do that to yourself?
I like this. It's called suffering. It's a very Catholic saying. Maybe you've heard of it. No,
It's called
I
bearing
don't know.
our cross.
This is my cross to bear. I removed Ace from the internet. You all are welcome.
that's the whole point. It's just your sacrifice is getting him away from a computer. Oh my god.
Very
All right,
sacrificial. Yeah.
Bulgov, what about you?
Goat treats in the sand.
I'm just imagining trying to debate him, and like he has to like walk off and like write your quote down somewhere so he can quote you, and he can't just reply to you directly.
You walk through the island. There's like he somehow made a paper and just stuck it to a tree, and it's like, wait, what?
Okay, Bulgov, who's your desert island mutual?
Actually, I don't know. Who'd be good at like surviving? That's what I'm thinking of right now. Who'd actually? Because I'd be done in a few days. Who'd actually be good at surviving out of all the people I know?
Tommy.
You guys,
Tommy Salmons.
would he? I don't think he. I don't. Is he my mutual though? We haven't talked. We might have followed each other though.
We gotta get him on. You guys would love him. He is fantastic.
I think I've listened to him and he's great, but like, I don't. See, year zero. Let me see if I follow him. I might follow him, but it might have unfollowed me at some point because it's been a while. I don't know. I think we don't. We might not follow each other. Damn. So he's not a mutual. I can't have him.
Out.
You know what, Pete? I'd have Pete. We're mutuals, but we don't talk that often. I have Pete. Pete Quinones.
Good pick. Good pick.
Nice.
Pete knows. Pete seems like he knows what he's about.
Yeah.
And he's very good at listening to people rant, so I could just rant to him. As we all know from his podcast, where sometimes it's like 50 minutes, the guy talking, and he goes, go on. And about another 15 minutes.
All the Thomas 7 episodes are like that.
I haven't listened to any of them yet, but I've heard about them.
They're really good.
I've been sort of it's not exactly thrown off. I have a hard time taking Thomas seriously after being very well acquainted with his Twitter feed.
Fail.
Which is amazing. Which was the best feed on Twitter.
I'm in his Telegram chat, and he's hilarious.
Does he talk like that too? Just out of curiosity.
Cool.
Cat. Does he?
No, not like that. He's much more just blunt. He just keeps going.
Okay.
I'm
He has a
guessing
very unique fashion style too.
Yes, he does. I'm guessing. What about you? Who's your mutual?
So since she's giving me a side eye right now, I'm gonna have to say my wife. But if I couldn't say my wife, you know what? I'm gonna go with Jacob Daniel since he's in the chat representing our chat. I would enjoy hanging out with him on a desert island.
Yeah,
we talk anarchism. It'd be great. I feel like he'd be able to survive. Like he'd be able to like forage for food for us too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Jacob. Jacob, we're going to desert island together.
You're gonna have fun. So let's see. Next question here. I gotta bring that back up because
The gold guy, right?
Hold on.
Can you if it's gold guy, it's can you explain papal infallibility? Is this first question?
He was
asking real questions. I don't think this is.
No,
Yeah.
he was asking. Half of them were real, half of them were fake. You will notice the first two are real, the third one is not. And so, but
We're not talking the third one. I refuse to engage on the third one.
I think the third one's actually relatively easy to answer. But yes, go on. First one,
I think
papal
I'll
infallibility. Should we address it?
Father Brown, do you wanna take this one?
So papal infallibility is apparently everything the Pope says is infallible. He can never be wrong, and if he's wrong, all of Catholicism fails. I think that's how Protestants explain it to me. No, papal infallibility is the Pope has the ability to speak infallibly under certain circumstances at certain times, and is prevented from making error by the Holy Spirit. Not every statement he makes is infallible, obviously, because he says
He's certainly not impeccable.
Yeah,
that's important to remember.
It's like there's a requirement. It's a specific saying. I think there's been like 3 infallible statements in the past.
I think it's actually 2. Past forever. 2. Literally
yeah.
I mean, technically that are officially infallible, but the idea of infallibility in the sense that when the Pope speaks on certain circumstances, it's true, has been around, but it was only made a doctrine in like the last 150 years, I think. But before that, it was still something that was around the church, like when the Pope, or else like why have a Pope? It's just like a bishop. It's just a bishop.
Yeah, so it was Vatican I, like 1870, when they officially established the doctrine.
That I think Vatican II also has more explanation of it, so I can actually read it because it's interesting. It's not only the Pope that has infallibility; it's also the bishops when they unanimously agree on something on the point of doctrine, on a new thing, and all of them agree in speaking like in a council, like in the Vatican Council or in the Council of Trent, and they all agree on something, then that thing is said to be spoken infallibly. So I can read Vatican II's explanation if you guys want. So the explanation for the bishops is, quote, although the individual bishops do not enjoy the prerogative of infallibility, they can nevertheless proclaim Christ's doctrine infallibly. This is so even when they are dispersed around the world, provided that while maintaining the bond of unity among themselves and with Peter's successor, i.e. the Pope, and while teaching authentically on matter of faith or morals, they concur in a single viewpoint as the one which must be upheld conclusively. This authority is even more clearly verified when, gathered together in an ecumenical council, they are teachers and judges of faith and morals for the universal church. Their definitions must then be adhered to with a submission of faith. That's for the Pope explanation. The Vatican II, where the charism of the Pope is very specific. It goes, let me quote. As Vatican II remarked, it is a charism of the Pope, quote, enjoys in virtue of his office when, as the supreme shepherd and teacher of all the faithful, who confirms his brethren in their faith, he proclaims by a definitive act some doctrine of faith or morals. Therefore, his definitions of themselves, and not from the consent of the church, are justly held irreformable, for they are pronounced with the assistance of the Holy Spirit and assistance promised to him in Blessed Peter. That's of Vatican II explanation. There's some clarifications later and so on and so forth, but that's the gist of it.
You're muted, Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb,
you're muted.
Caleb.
I went to cough, muted myself, and then never unmuted myself. Thank you for it. I was just like, why you guys interrupt me so much? What am I saying that's wrong? Okay. Yeah, paper infallibility was definitely one that like, I feel like when I first heard it, I'm like, oh, that's insane. Who thinks the Pope's ever infallible? Then once I actually had to explain to me, like, oh, okay, it's not at all what Protestants told me it was.
Yeah, an advantage of being Cradle is where you don't try to necessarily like debate this within yourself. You're just like, oh, okay, there's some rational justification for this. I just have to trust that it's there, and then go out and find it.
Once I accepted the papacy was like true, it's like, okay, anything the church says is true. I just have to figure out why. And then once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, I gotta be Catholic now.
And the church is really good about telling you why it's true for the most part. Like it's not like
it is.
Like if the papal decree comes out, it's also followed by like 17 pages of exposition, like with both natural law and theological law support for why this is true.
There's a reason why popes write encyclicals.
Yes, we need to cover Pope encyclical one day. Like Humanae Vitae, I think was by Pope John Paul II. Is that Humanae Vitae?
Yeah, I believe it's Pope John Paul II. I'm also interested in Theology of the Body, which I know is not encyclical. It's a series of lectures he gave.
Yeah, Theology of the Body is amazing. Like I'm a huge fan of Christopher West. He's a guest
with Paul VI, by the way.
What?
Humanae Vitae was Paul VI.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah,
we need to eventually try to get a bigger guest like Christopher West on from Theology of the Body Institute. He's a fantastic dude. Besides Constantine, it's like the only mainstream Catholic I see discussing lesser goods. We should eventually try to grab him.
Theology of the Body would be interesting because eventually, like a decade from now, me and Caleb are finally going to do a book club on Roger Scruton's sexual desire. So that would be to compare, next decade somewhere there. I will need to reread it because it's like vaguely in my memory somewhere, some like bits and pieces.
Yeah. Okay, so we are ready for the next question?
Next question.
Yeah, sure.
Good.
Okay. Why do you need a priest to confess mortal sins to?
You technically don't need. So, like, for example, God can do anything he wants. So your bread that you're eating right now, he could like make his presence there. You wouldn't know, probably, but he could. If for some reason you're on a desert island and you're making bread alone, you're in a desert island with Ace, with like a Council of Trent podcast for some godforsaken reason. But whatever you're eating there, since you can't attend the mass, Christ could literally be in whatever you're eating. There's no rules. God has not, ruled that, unless he explicitly promised that he wouldn't do this, which he hasn't. There's no reason why. But because the power to redeem sins was given to the apostles, I think every sin that you forgive will be forgiven. Every sin that you retain will be retained. I forget which gospel that's from. And the powers of the apostles are then confirmed to their successors, because the early church didn't end when the last of the apostles died, but rather continued to their successors. It's a sure way of efficacious grace. So you don't need to, but you should, because you don't know if it's working when you don't. It's promised to work when you do, though, and because the successors of the apostles are the bishops, and in their diocese, and their co-workers, the priests, who therefore have their powers conferred to them by the bishops, then you get the sure means of efficacious grace.
I try not to engage with the Catholic Protestant arguments on Twitter, because it's either arguments with people that I like or people that are completely insane. But one time I tried, like, there was something about, like, some Protestant was making fun of the idea of confession, and like, well, okay, like, and I mentioned the verse that Bulgov just brought up, like, okay, like, here's literal scriptural support for the idea of confession, and the response, like, that's not a very good, like, that's a pretty, like, flimsy reason for saying this. I'm like, okay, if you're holding the sola scriptura, and there's literally a verse that says the sins you forgive are forgiven, the sins you retain are retained, how is this not a good, like, justification for confession? Like, it made no sense to me that they've sort of ignored, like, it just, I'm like, okay, I can't argue with these people. Like, I don't know what insane interpretation they have of this verse, but it's
at the very least have to accept that if you were living at the same time as Saint Peter, you would have, and you confessed the sin to him, and he forgave you. You would at least have to admit that Saint Peter then could forgive your sin, even if his successor, or maybe you don't view it as a legitimate successor, couldn't. At least Saint Peter and the rest of the apostles could. At the very least. Although considering, whatever you loose on earth will be loose in heaven, I think he could name successors, but whatever. I think he had that power, but whatever.
The idea of a sacrament with an expiration date is also kind of weird to me. Like, if the only marriage that was a sacrament was the one in Canaan. Like, it's like, this one's sacramental, but the rest of them don't count because Jesus wasn't there.
Jesus didn't turn water into wine, therefore no sacrament.
It didn't happen at my wedding, so I guess this one doesn't count.
You made the rookie mistake of bringing an actual wine to the wedding instead of waiting for the water to be transmuted.
Standing there at the altar, waiting.
Faith is lacking. I brought the alcohol myself.
Standing there at the altar, looking at the case of water, like, okay, we're gonna wait. We're just gonna wait for this. If it happens, we get married.
Sacramental marriage yet? No, still
yeah,
water.
That's how marriages are consummated. It's not the creating of children. It's when the water turns to wine. Yeah. Sorry, Jeremy, from Contra Gentiles. It's not the procreation of children. It's the wine thing. We figured it out. That's a canon 1054 or whatever. Reason for annulment: the water didn't turn into wine.
No, this is like the mainline Protestant, like, Baptist thing. It's not that they're like complete teetotalers. But they can't, like, provide their own alcohol because they're waiting for Jesus to transform it for them. So they just drink grape juice, and then if their faith is strong enough, it becomes wine for them.
True, very true.
Next
the Mormons
question.
Are complete Veggietales, right?
What's that?
The Mormons. They don't
think
drink
that
alcohol,
is correct.
Right?
I think there's lesser busybodies around about it, but yeah, I think they are.
They also don't drink caffeine.
Yeah, they don't drink coffee either.
They also have to wear special underwear if they want to get into. I was looking up some stuff about the Mormon religion because my aunt just married a Mormon, and there's like 5 kids, and now I have Mormons in the family. And I was looking into it, and it's like one of the views is that if you get to like the pearly gates, it's like Peter, Jesus, and John Smith at the pearly gates. And if you uphold all the rules of the Mormons, you got to get multiple wives. But if you didn't, they castrate you. And then you get to go in anyway when you don't get a fuck. And it's such a dumb view. It's
more corporeal than the Catholic view, which is hilarious. The Catholic view, which like reanimated zombies, is actually a fair criticism. Like, yeah, it's the same body technically. If you want to make fun of us, it is reanimation of zombies in a weird way. Like, but fair enough, I guess. And then they're like, no. I mean, really, you have to be worried about this shit.
The idea of like getting to heaven and seeing Jesus, Peter, and John Smith. Like,
dude, if I go to heaven, I would shit my pants.
Like weird Catholic fanfic or like weird Christian fan fiction. It's like, and then I got to hang out with Peter at the pearly gates and decide who goes to heaven or not.
You know, that's actually why Aquinas stopped writing assuming he got the beatific vision of heaven and saw a weird American guy from the 1800s and he was like, no way I'm writing this shit anymore. This is not worth it.
To be fair, like if I had the vision of heaven and saw John Smith, I was like, yeah, okay, clearly everything I've written, this is a straw. Like I made a wrong turn somewhere.
Oh, yeah. You also believe that.
I'm just imagining that, you know, the portrait of him, blonde, good-looking, smiling at the pearly gates, looking smug as fuck.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. They also apparently believe that like there were like 3 sets of angels or spirits that were like other gods among Jesus and God, and that when the revolt happened, like Satan went to war with Jesus. There was like a certain faction of angels or spirits who didn't partake in the war, and then out of shame, all their skin turned black, and that's how they account for the Negro population. That was like that's a legit teaching. They actually didn't let black people into the church until like the 1900s.
I think it was in the
1970s.
So the other thing I've heard is they have like a basically I think they got like a living canon. Like they can literally just change their mind about things.
Yeah.
Like in the 1970s, they just like, yeah, actually what we said earlier is like now black people are cool. Yeah. Like it's very like this I don't know. There's no consistency to any of it because they can just change their mind in a whim.
Moments. I think that's the next question. Are traps gay?
Okay, so I do have an answer. It depends on whether they're white Anglo-Saxons or not. Or they white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. If so, being gay is not just sodomy isn't a real thing. It's not a positive thing. It's rather a privation of being. So being gay, having a vice of being attracted to sodomizing or being sodomized by other men, being gay is only participating in a certain subculture that does that. The only people that do so are usually waspy motherfuckers. No one else. So therefore, even though Will Smith has definitely had sex with men, because he is black, he is not gay. So it depends on whether... It really depends. It really does depend on where the trap is.
I'm gonna clip that. Even if Wolfman has had sex with men because he's black, he's not.
I have stolen this shamelessly from Not a Podcast.
That is beautiful.
That is just from Not a Podcast. It's a conversation between Bert, Neocon Remover, and Bird. I just stole that completely.
That is hilarious.
Too good to mess up.
I want this to be like we need to formulate this like sumo style though. Like this needs to be like the
Objection 1, Objection 2.
I'll get started.
Others say thoughts is gay.
Like it's like traps are definitely gay, but I had this. I was at a friend's house like when I was like 17 or something, and it was super late. We were like arguing about this shit for some odd reason. I don't know how we even got onto the topic.
You argue a lot of people. I've noticed, Caleb.
I'm a very argumentative fellow. I'm
not at all, which is funny. People might get even on Twitter. I'm usually not argumentative. I just make a joke and move on.
I've started doing that more on Twitter and less in person, which I need to switch that. But we were arguing, we were talking about it, and I remember one guy made the argument that if it's a drawing of a trap, and you don't see any distinguishing genitalia, therefore you cannot know whether it is a boy or a girl. And if it's a drawing that is not weird, as your perception of it makes it good, then it's straight. So it's all basically he's arguing that whatever view it has is what makes it straight or gay. And I'm like, what?
There are ontological problems. If a drawing is whatever is in the painting, the intentions of the artist if the artist drew a hut but he intended to draw a cathedral, doesn't matter what you intended, it's a hut.
Yes.
If whatever is there looks female, then it's a drawing of a female. You can maybe argue that due to certain, let's say, bone features, it might actually be a male, but whatever is there is whatever is there. Shut up. In a real person, this doesn't apply because appearances are skin deep in a person. They're not whatever their ontological status is. But we've already had this conversation. If it's a wasp or not, that's what it means if it's gay.
That's what
otherwise, it's just sodomy. Just good old sodomy.
Good old sodomy. Okay, here's the next one. All inaccurate translations of the original language of holy text, like the Bible, a threat to sound doctrine?
Probably.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have a developed opinion of this, but my gut instinct is I don't see how it wouldn't be.
I know there was an issue in this.
Until the Vatican II, it was universally no, this is the version we're reading off of. This is the one that we're going to trust.
Yeah, I know. I think it was in Germany, after the Protestant Reformation, or maybe it was before. Maybe it was beforehand. There were a few translations going around then that the church would say, no, you have to gather these up and burn them because they're not accurate. And there was some debate between Gavin Ortland and Jimmy Aiken. They were debating and stuff, and they made the point well, if it's an inaccurate translation that is going to directly lead to people believing false things, then it is more to destroy the false translations if it's going to lead to people believing heretical things. And I 100% agree.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think I'm a fan of the Mass going back to Latin anyway. So
what was that?
The problem with
I'm
Prots,
the Mass just being in Latin as it anyways. So
yeah. The problem also was this guy Jimmy Aiken was arguing with. What's his name again?
Gavin Ortland.
Gavin,
Very
is he a
Protestant.
Prot?
Yes, very Protestant.
The problem with Prot saying, why they kind of have to disagree is because if they agree, they then have to say who is the authority. And well, the obvious candidate is a certain guy in Rome in a certain palace, in a certain, wearing a funny little hat. That's probably the guy with the authority. Everyone else is like, well, who are you? You're just a Protestant like me. Who are you to decide?
Okay, everyone good on that one? Ready for the next question?
Yeah. I think we got a couple more to go through, and we should probably wrap up before too long. So
absolutely. What's Protestant denomination is least wrong?
I actually am not familiar with Protestant denominations. Which one's the closest to Catholicism?
So for a while it was the Anglicans, until
I guess
I think that they took a pretty hard left turn in recently, but it was at I guess C.S. Lewis when he was trying to discern the faith, and Tolkien was just kneel, you should become Catholic. And he's like, I'm too British to be Catholic. I'm just gonna stay. I'm gonna be Anglican instead.
Yeah, he was born in Northern Ireland. He had to be fucking Anglican.
But so the Anglicans were stuck to things a lot better than most of the Protestant denominations. Again, I think they've in the last our lifetime they've sort of taken a hard turn away from any kind of tradition. But it's for the longest time it was the Anglicans. I know, not the Episcopalians. I know the American version of the church kind of went a little insane, but
so fair.
So them are Mormons. the Mormons got the natalism going for him though. Caleb mentioned, he's got 5 or a dozen nephews already. That's not uncommon. They've at least got that part figured out a lot better than a lot of thoughts.
You know what? That's actually correct. That's actually some element of truth and beauty that they've really tapped into and are not letting go of. So kudos to them.
Yeah, it's. I know a lot of Protestants try to argue anyone who's not Lutheran, Calvin, Lutheran, or Anglican isn't Protestant, but something else. And I'm it's always gets weird to me Protestants try to argue Mormons aren't Protestant, because if Protestant is just described as protesting the church, I think, and it's always weird to me when they try to no, we're not like those Protestants. It's they try to round off Protestantism. And it already has all these differences in the old group, but they still had a round every other group. It's
whatever. Who cares?
Yes.
I don't care if you're Gnostics or Lutherans. You're just heretics. It's fine. Shut up. No one cares about your little retarded heretic squabbles.
Okay, next question. How much do you think religion should or shouldn't influence government and lawmaking? Well, the Pope should be king. I'm just gonna lay it out.
I think we're probably more theocratic than the average Catholic, I would say.
Yeah, I think every decision, big or small. I think how much you should budget for groceries should be a decision personally made by the Pope.
Yes.
And I don't mean in general he says how much every family. I mean every single family individually he gives a different budget to. And he doesn't tell you how much income you earn, he just tells you how much you should spend on groceries.
There we go.
After an appointment with a nutritionist. I think
subsidiarity isn't a natural consequence of anything. It's just a logistics thing. We just with good enough computers, the Pope can just make all these decisions for us.
Yeah, but computation. Yeah, it's the the communist computation argument for beating the calculation argument for me. It's that, but for the Pope. With some advanced computers, the Pope can decide everything. That's the real answer. So yeah.
Is it a sin to work on Sundays?
Well, I don't think so.
No.
But maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know what the canon says. I don't think so.
I'm gonna say it's not a sin to work on Sundays if it's like you have to work. But I think it's like I asked my like catechism teacher about it, and she explained it as if you have a job that you need money for, and it's like you sign on to work ways, you work Sunday. It's no unnecessary work that is just for the sake of work. You know, it's for either rest or if you have to work because you survive work. But how do you tell your priest you recognize him on the street by his ass? I'm not answering that one.
In confession.
In confession,
probably.
yeah.
That's probably where you do it.
What do you think of Pope Francis? It doesn't matter what I think. I am a Catholic and I submit to Rome.
Secretly based. That's what I'll say.
I think he's pretty, On Cass?
Secretly based.
I have to go with the. I'm gonna veer away from the Lou Rockwell answer and go with the Judge Napolitano answer. They got him 15 rosaries for a penance. I hope when Pope Francis dies, he goes directly to heaven. That's all I'm gonna say.
Now, there's a great interview. It's a great Pope moment I saw recently. Like he was on like the Pope mobile in like Mexico, and like one guy yelled like, "I'm sorry, thank you for coming out here, even though your knee hurts." And the Pope just said back, "My knee's fine. I just need some tequila." And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Last one. If you could vote for a new Pope, who do you have? Do you have anyone in mind?
Two black guys come to mind.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of them is really old though. One of them I think is actually older than the current Pope. Let me see. Pope Francis' age. Of the other guy is actually 4 years older than Pope Francis. Arinze is 89 years old.
Dear Lord.
Sarah is 77. So
No,
Sarah.
I'm a huge Sarah simp. I will make no bones about it. I've loved him for a decade.
He's great.
I've heard of him before, but I didn't really investigate him until very recently. But yeah, he's great. He's good.
He'll have sound bites pop up occasionally that are just so incredibly, like he's just so good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that was.
So we established our anti-racist credentials.
Well, good. Solid. Okay, I think that's
diversity, equity, inclusion for the papacy. We should have. If I can smuggle in Cardinal Sarah under DIE, I will.
Yeah, we gotta get our ASG score up.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get Cardinal Sarah.
Slightly conspiratorial. Like how much? Like I don't know if the church takes out a bunch of loans or anything, but like is BlackRock investing in the church and like insisting that their ESG score goes up? Like I'm sure there's a lot of finances that have to go on. I'm sure they have to interact with all these different, like either governmental or fiduciary agencies. Like, how many times has the Catholic Church's ESG score been brought up in serious discussion? I bet you it's happened before.
Who is Larry Fink?
The Pope right now on Google. Who is Larry? Who is this guy?
So there's an article from thecommondreams.org saying from Wall Street to the Vatican, the Pope's chat with Larry Fink. The secret finances of the Vatican economy.
Oh, that's interesting.
The dangerous alliance of Rothschild and Vatican of Francis.
We might have to say this for another episode. We're going to do a conspiracy episode.
Was that written by the Church Militant website or whatever? It's
no,
called?
it didn't look like it was.
Was it Protestant then?
It
probably
was.
Francis. Because it said papacy or Francis. It didn't say the Vatican. I feel like Protestants would just say the papacy or the Vatican.
Yeah.
They wouldn't specify. That's why I asked. Was it just a trad calf posting?
I didn't see it. I didn't check the article tab. Excuse me. Yeah, well, we've gone for an hour and 52 minutes. We've answered questions. We've discussed space colonization of Mars. We've discussed a lot of topics. Anyone have any final words?
We solved the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones.
Oh yeah, we figured it out.
Shinzo Abe is the martyr. Saint Shinzo will be canonized. I will be part of the committee of the canonization process. Much like there's a committee for canonization of Tolkien, by the way, which is interesting. I didn't know that. He might be beatified. He might unironically be beatified in like a few decades.
Is that actually happening? That's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, there is a committee for the canonization of Tolkien. He might be beatified.
You know, those first re-releases when it says authored by like Saint Tolkien are going to be insane.
Oh, that's going to be so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
We're just typing into Google "Will Tolkien" and it auto completes to "become a saint."
Oh.
So that actually might happen. There's
That would be
committee
amazing
working for it currently. to get him at least beatified, which would be great.
He's earned it. I mean, he's fantastic. Well,
yeah, at least blessed. If scholars can be blessed, so can Tolkien.
absolutely.
Blessed Tolkien. BL Tolkien at the start of every every Lord of the Rings cover page. BL Tolkien. That's gonna be great. Might happen in our lifetimes.
I now have no reason to stay alive longer.
There's gonna be kids who are. If this happens, there's gonna be kids who are brought up only knowing him as Saint Tolkien, not just as Tolkien.
That's amazing. I've got this vision now of Caleb like saying his the liturgy of the hours from his post as Bishop of Mars.
Yeah,
and the imagine for some reason it's like a telegraph in my head. But like the message comes in over the wire that he finds out that Tolkien has been beatified. And he's like,
yes.
now I can rest now.
Saint
Caleb just wanders off into the red sands.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, the Ave Maria in Latin is I forget what it is. What is it in English? Holy Mary, Mother of God. Yeah, and then pray for us sinners is Ora pro nobis. Pray for us. So Saint Tolkien, Ora pro nobis, will actually be able to be said. Maybe one day.
Can't wait. This is the best right I've put in a while.
I'm excited to pray for Tolkien for intercession. I want the intercession of Saint Tolkien. Yes.
Yeah, all the writers of Writer's Block. Saint Tolkien, please give me your merits that you earned in your life as a writer. I need it right now.
Well, any final words or plugs before we wrap this up?
Not right. Is our website up, by the way?
Yeah, do we have a website we can plug?
I figured out the air. I just have to sit down and make it now. So it's getting the time to do it.
All right.
So I've got a backlog of articles up. One of them I'm still waiting for a review from my editors, but it should be posted.
I should actually check that out now that I have free time. That's true. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I did too. I'm going to try and start writing regular over the summer. I've got, like I said, a big backlog of stuff, and assuming we have a website, it'll go up there. I want to try to do things weekly for the rest of the summer, and then also on my Substack. But yeah, I think we're going to try and do some more regular shows too. I don't know how far we're going to do this whatever we're calling this thing. I still like Thomist Gang, but we'll see if that sticks or not.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back to our live readings. We're going to finish up Three Reformers. We got to dig back into Phasers by Proofs.
Yes.
That we're doing with the Gold Guide. That'll happen at some point. I'm going to have to reread like the last two because it's been like a month and a half.
Yeah, I'm rereading the arguments for Saint Augustine's proof, which is the essentialist proof. The proof of basically the proof of abstract forms.
So much reading to do. Okay, well, I think that's it. You guys know where to find us. All links are in the description. Go follow AustroThomism. A lot of great work coming out. Have a good night.